The demon heart tells the wolf to kill 3 people under the influence and power he has over the wolf. Those 3 people are the shopkeeper they buy all their supplies from, the duke they helped with the case that got them the deer, and the third being the cousin of the main lead. Thanks to the deer being inside the wolf's head, that memory connection they have, the deer is able to know the 2 out of 3 people the wolf was ordered to go kill, so they can go and prevent him from killing those people. For the first guy to save his life, they use a puppet, and basically the deer also got in the wolf's head, being like, oh, you owe this guy's a life debt, so you can't really destroy or ruin his actual body. So they can go back and collect the dude's real body, because, the dude had the ability to put his soul in a puppet and then be able to go back to his actual body. I was a little confused about that, but I think that's how it works. And the wolf was unknowing all of this because, again, he's under the influence and control and being possessed by the third heart demon, so he doesn't know that he's giving them all the information and what they're planning to do on the sidelines. Though I do not understand why, but one of the sins, I think he's greed, disguised himself as the shopkeeper to get into the party. I do not know why, but the noble consort is about to have a birthday party, and he disguises himself as the shopkeeper to get in there, and then later will disguise himself as a ghost of the former female emperor. And I'm a little confused of why he needed to disguise himself as the shopkeeper. Can someone explain that to me? So the shopkeeper, we find out, is the one who sold that sword to the male lead. I guess we already knew this, and I just completely forgot about it. It was probably that I probably completely forgot about. We all know I do not have the brain cells to remember things correctly. Sometimes I completely, utterly forget things. But yes, he tells them that he's the one who sold the sword to the male lead, and he tells us how it came to be in his hands. So the person who had the sword originally, the sword wasn't buried with him. It was put into the halls, and then that halls, when it, fell out of power, didn't have as much influence anymore, or didn't have much revenue happened anymore and wasn't being taken care of. Thieves went in and stole the stuff from the halls. And the sword was one of the things that was stolen, and it ended up in his hands as a merchant. Well, there was a letter with it, and the letter just explained about the artifacts, but didn't go into detail in where he could find those artifacts. And also the sword was a plain old sword in his opinions. He didn't see much thing in it, so he just left it alone and then decided to sell it, and it ended up in the male lead's hands because he bought it in a auction house, because it was put up for auction and the male lead bought it. And then the shopkeeper came to be a little suspicious of the sword, but when he saw the male lead not do much with the sword, he didn't think much of the sword. And when they asked him why would the third heart demon want him dead, he goes, I don't know why. I don't know his secrets. I didn't know who he was. I also do not know his weaknesses. He probably knows, but doesn't know himself that he knows. When it comes to the Duke, it's basically a physical brawl they get into with the wolf, and they basically stab the wolf in 3 different places, and the wolf escapes, and the third heart demon has to save the wolf's lives or heal his injuries. And I'm a little confused of why they needed to stab the wolf. I get it to get him back off, but it's part of their plans to stab him, and I guess those weapons would inflict inside the wolf and be able to have more control over the wolf the gang would have, and the deer would have an easier time getting into the wolf's head to unpossess the wolf. I was a little confused about that. I need someone to explain that to me. When the deer and the friend of the Persian prince had went after the shopkeeper's actual body, the deer had ran after the wolf instead after the wolf dropped off the body. And once entrapped with the wolf, they start physically fighting, and the deer, to free himself, basically kisses the wolf and then runs away. And I'm like, dude, you giving him kisses when he's your enemy, but won't give him kisses when he's your comrade? Make sense. You be all tsundere with him and cold with him and pushing him away when he is your comrade, but when he's your enemy, you giving him kisses? Honey. The main character and the male lead, they return back, and the deer and the main character splits off so the main character can heal the deer's injuries that the deer has gotten from the wolf, and the male lead will recite plans with the others. While trying to influence the wolf through the wolf's dreams, the deer will get into like physical alterations with the wolf, that basically the wolf will pin him down and just chew and mar up his neck, basically full on marking him as his property, being like, this is my wife, this is my partner, this is my mate, and I'm going to make sure he is marked up. Though I don't think the wolf fully realizes that's why he's doing it, why he's marring up the deer. So the wolf kidnaps the male lead's cousin, then brings the cousin to the male lead and the rest of the group to be like, oh, I have your cousin, and then runs off, and the male lead tries chasing after him to save his cousin, but is unable to save his cousin. And he's like, okay, I'm going to deal with this because the wolf told him he needs to meet up with him at a certain location if he wants to get his cousin back alive. And he wants to go save his cousin. But they have their plans that are already set in motion. And the deer is like, well, I can take your place and go get your cousin. And the male lead is refusing to allow it. He's like, we're still going to have our plans in motion. But because the male lead is as intelligent as he is, he knows the wolf won't be there, but somebody else. Either the third heart demon or one of the sins will be there. So he's like, I will go deal with it, but you will still have to handle the wolf. And that was like part of their plans. Again, I will tell you, I'm not the smartest, so I was a little confused when it came to the whole plan. The main character has two idols, the musician idol, the poet idol, and the scholar. They go to the birthday banquet for the noble consort, and thanks to the ties the musician and the poet has to the emperor and the noble consort, they're able to enter the birthday banquet with no issues or problems and get close to the emperor and the noble consort. The sin of greed goes from their disguise as the shopkeeper to their disguise as the female emperor to basically throw hatred and venom towards the noble consort and the right chancellor, and basically having everyone show their hatred and dislike for this family because this family has done a lot of vile, horrible things to the people throughout a period of time. So no one really likes the fact that she is noble consort. No one likes the fact that he is right chancellor. Like, their people have done a lot of horrible things. Their servant has done a lot of horrible things. Like, no one wants the consort to be the consort. They want her dethroned, depositioned. They want him depositioned. So having the spirit of a former emperor de-announce them publicly just gets everyone to de-announce her or rile up and get more angry. I wasn't really sure, but the main character and the two idols and the scholar deals with this whole thing, and then they make it out that it was just a play, an act put on, and everyone gets rewards and treasures because the greed of sin was basically hurling treasures and gold at the main character while fighting, and so everyone gets treasures and they think that the emperor did it for all of them. Like, he put on an act and then had that act end with everyone getting treasures and rewards.